Hi, welcome to Spiritual Invitation. I'm your host, Carla Augustyn, inviting you to explore spirituality. Joining me today is MJ Stevenson, and she's here to talk about meditation and to guide us through a short meditation. Now, MJ is an artist, a reflexologist, a recreation therapist for the elderly, and she's been a meditator for the last 40 years. That's amazing.
It's been a long time.
Thank you for being here, MJ. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
So you're the woman to talk to since you've been doing it so long. It's impressive.
You're making me feel old.
No. Well, I would like to mention, though, in addition to all your talents, you're also a grandmother.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm a new grandmother.
You're showing me pictures before of little Clementine.
A lovely Clementine.
Amazing. She's beautiful.
She is.
Lucky you.
I feel really lucky. She's 9 months old and
just enjoying life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So does a grandchild just trump everything in your life? Yeah,
absolutely.
Pretty much, right?
She's top of the list now.
Okay. Before we talk about meditation, just share with us, how did you start on your spiritual path?
Well, I would say the first thing that pops into my head is when I was about 5. My mother, I was raised Catholic, and my mother, told me we were going to church, and I asked her if I could stay home and stay in my room and think about God.
At 5 years old.
I was 5, and I really meant it. It
wasn't
just trying to get out of church. And she actually said yes, and I actually did it. And I remember lying on my bed and trying to feel something, and I don't remember what happened, but that's sort of like the first conscious thought I have, and ever since then, I've just always been on.
It just kind of built.
Some sort of quest or another.
Talk about having a conscious mother, though, that she thought there was something to this, legitimate, and to let you have your way.
Yeah, I think she just didn't get me, so really, I think that's what it was. So she just sort of got out of the way.
Okay.
So it worked well.
Well, good. Now, we are pulled in so many different directions in today's society, and why should someone make meditation a priority? I mean, why should we meditate?
Well, a brief brain explanation of what's going on. Most people, if you think of it as train stations, there's 4 basic train stations. Or brain train stations. So we're in the beta state in waking, and the delta state when sleeping. That's your brain wave state. And so if you think of it as the train station, most people go from beta to delta, and they never ever stop in between. They're either awake, they're asleep. They don't make any time for anything else. And in between you have the alpha and the theta station. And that's where you want to get off and take a little break, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And it's, this is my own take on things at this point in my life. You could find all sorts of information, all over the place. But basically, you're resting your brain. It's the most healing state that you can be in as far physically, and just 5 minutes of doing that a day makes a big difference.
It still
physically.
makes a difference.
Health-wise, it's indisputable. And on a spiritual level, everyone's experience is different. So, but you should do it.
Yeah. You're encouraging us to do it.
I am.
Now, what happens when we meditate then? So when we go into, you're saying when we go into this different state, like between sleep and and that's the state you want to get to, because that's the point of relaxation.
It's very different than sleeping. Because if you think about it, in sleeping, you could be having your teeth clenched, you could be having terrible dreams, your heart could be pounding. It's not necessarily restful.
That's
sleeping.
True.
So it's a good point that you made, that it is like you're sort of training and practicing to get to the point right before you're falling asleep and staying there for a little bit. And resting there, essentially. And that's what it's all about, basically, very basically.
All right, so let's talk about you then. When did you learn to meditate, and why? Why did you learn to meditate?
Well, I was 15 years old, and I had my mother drive me to the Transcendental Meditation Center in New Haven. And it was many moons ago. I think it was 1976. So do the math. And my main motivation I don't remember exactly how I ended up there, but it was obviously in the news a lot at that time in the 70s, and the Beatles were doing it and whatever. And my own personal motivation was just feeling a lot of anxiety as a teenager, felt very uncomfortable, very self-conscious, extremely shy. I was incredibly, incredibly shy as a child and as a teenager. And you'll laugh.
Yeah, hard to believe, but
it is really hard to believe considering what I do now. But and also blushing. You probably can see it now. I'll talk about it and I'll turn red. And it didn't stop my blushing, but I mean to some degree, but I stopped caring about it.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a big thing because I wouldn't kind of stick my neck out. I wouldn't talk in front of people. I wouldn't be social in ways that, I'm over the top of that in a big way now. So it made a really big difference to my inner, just my inner peace, my inner comfort level.
So you do credit, even at that young age, to helping you. The meditation was just kind of calmed you down within. So no matter what, even if you're blushing, it didn't matter. You're still calm in a situation.
I just keep going forward. All those blushers out there, just keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. Okay, now what about when people will say, oh, I can't sit still to meditate?
Those are the primary things I hear from people. I can't sit still. I can't focus. I don't have time. Blah, 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 blah.
And you don't buy it.
I don't buy any of it because I've been there. I'm really there now. My current life really reflects that. And so I can absolutely say to you, one, it doesn't matter if you can sit still. You can move during meditation if you want to, because guess what? It's your meditation. You can always find, and this is, once again, just my personal opinion, you can certainly find many modes of meditation that will tell you you have to sit in a certain position with your back straight and unmoving and, certain rules.
It's rigid, and I think that's what people think about when they think of meditation, that has to be totally rigid.
So they'll throw the whole thing out rather than find their own way. And when you think about it, well, if that works for someone, that's wonderful. And if it doesn't work for you, why should that stop you from coming up with something that works for you? Because it's got to be a totally individual thing. So that's what I've just done over the last 40 years is, guess what? I'm going to make up my own thing.
Well, that's good. I mean, you've experimented, so you know what it is that works, kind of thing. And even when you say, if people say they don't have enough time, and your philosophy is, well, even just take a few minutes.
Right. And it makes a big difference.
And it still makes a big difference.
You don't need 30 minutes. You don't need an hour. It's great if you can find that. If you don't have it, it's the same thing with exercise or eating something that's healthy for you. Just that little bit that you're doing is going to make a difference. And it adds up. And really what you're doing is practicing being present and practicing being in a better state of mind. I always say from neutral up. That's what we're looking for. You don't have to feel fabulous during your meditation, but we're aiming for neutral.
Okay.
Aiming to shut off all those endless, nattering, horrible thoughts that we carry around. 70,000 thoughts a day plus.
All right. So it's just calming that down so it doesn't stay at that same speed that we're going.
And all the negativity. If you really notice how many of your thoughts are judging and evaluating and criticizing, even in not the most unpleasant way, but you're constantly evaluating everything all day. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
So it's like, take a break. Go to Tahiti in your mind. And then you get out of the way, essentially, and you can stop struggling to a great degree because things will start falling in place for you in a way that you could try all day long and not be able to line all those things up.
So you can relate. You've been doing this for 40 years. When people say, I don't have time, or I can't sit still for this, or there's just no time in my day. You can certainly relate to to people feeling that way and having those challenges.
Right. And you can still do it. And it's really important. It really is. I find whenever my own life has gone really out of order, and I'm looking at it saying, my job is this, or my husband is that, or this, blah, blah, whatever really negative stuff is going on, inevitably I look at it and I realize, oh, I have been slacking on whatever my practices are at that particular time. And
so you notice a difference.
Absolutely.
When you've been slacking on it.
And if things are going really well, you might slack off because things are going so well. And then after a while, you'll be saying, I knew it. Things couldn't, it didn't stick or whatever. And really what it is you were in this great place and then you didn't sort of put the coins in the meter. You ran out of time. So.
All right. Well, I hear from so many people that, they do feel badly that they seem that they can't do it and they realize that they should be doing it, but for some reason it's just not clicking in. So can you give us some suggestions for incorporating meditation into our daily life?
First of all, stop feeling guilty. It's just like, eating, exercising, meditating. Stop feeling guilty. Everyone is not doing it as much as they think they should. But as far as habits, it's really a key, just like with exercise or food, any health habit, to find something you're actually going to do. So if you do not like the sound of, I'm going to sit for 20 minutes and follow my breathing. If you don't like the sound of that, then don't do it. If that's going to make you feel like, I'm going to get hives or whatever, then it's not the thing for you. People, if there's something that you're already doing that you feel like, here's the key, does it make you forget what time it is? Well, then maybe you should do that on purpose every day. Maybe it's something you're already doing, such as exercise. Maybe you swim every day. Maybe you walk. Maybe you are doing yoga. You can make sure during those times that you're doing a little mind practice at the same time instead of worrying about work or the kids or your parents.
Well, that's a good idea.
And even as simple as counting. It doesn't have to be something wonderful and expansive and reflective. It doesn't have to be a mantra per se. You could count to 10 repeatedly while you're taking a walk, or something very simple like that. And really just sort of, or say to yourself, I'm going to go 3 laps or 3 blocks and just repeat this. All is well, or
anything.
I made up this little chant years ago, which is in my little booklet here. I am strong, I am joyous, I am beautiful. And I do this marching. I didn't do it out loud, though. I am strong, I am joyous, I am beautiful, I am smart, I am talented, I am capable. It keeps going. So, and you might say, well, I couldn't remember that, but it was like a little song, and it distracted me from thinking anything else is totally positive. And I'd say, I'm going to do that for the next 3 blocks. And there's a little 5-minute break where I turned everything off, and then you take a deep breath and you feel like,
So it's nice. So the chanting really that's what's in our mind, and that's what's keeping in our focus versus, I have to go to the grocery store, I have to do this for work, I have to pick up the kids. And so if you're thinking about that as you're walking or swimming or gardening kind of thing, you're still going to be uptight even though you're doing this great movement or exercise. But certainly so doing some sort of chant or
and making the most of that time. If you're really feeling like, I don't have time, if you're in the car a lot, you can listen to chanting. I listen to a lot of chanting in the car. I love it. But you can listen to any music that's making you feel uplifted.
Okay.
Don't listen to breakup songs.
Right, yeah.
Any music that brings a tear to your eye in a good way, happy joy. Listen to that in the car. I have a song that I listen to every single morning when I'm driving to work. Every morning. And I always feel like by the time I get there, I love my job, and I'm so lucky.
yeah.
But it's like it's a practice. I practice doing that because I could also feel really exhausted by my job and really overwhelmed. But I have to make a choice not to because I don't have time.
Right.
Really.
Right.
It
So
really
this
is
is
that
how
way.
it's almost like we find the time too, a little bit just doing double duty. It's just an activity that you're already doing.
Right.
Then go ahead and
Right.
quiet your mind.
Right.
It's a great idea.
And then you can also incorporate sound. I find for me, sound is really important, whether it's music, any kind of music that I listen to everything. African music or Earth, Wind, and Fire or chanting or classical, it could be anything. And then there's sort of white noise sounds, nature sounds. I have a recording of the wind that I listen
that's
to while I'm writing, or waves. I'll put that on
Okay,
if I
ocean
have
waves.
to do my schedule for work, or I'm writing a column or something. And it really helps you block everything
So you can focus
out.
on your work, but
Right.
not have the distractions in the background.
Or just putting that on and then focusing on your breathing, breathing as slowly as you can. It's really the simplest thing that you can do. Or just choosing a word that works for you. Like, I'm not feeling very relaxed right now, so you can kind of focus on that word and
Focus on the word relax.
Yeah, repeat
relax.
the word relax, breathing really slowly.
So float away. So being creative with this. So I mean, I do like how you say in your booklet, you can't do this wrong, and so I think so many people, they are feeling like, well, if for 20, 30 minutes or 60 minutes, they're not sitting there like this with their eyes closed. And they don't have a complete thought in their head, then they're not doing it right. And it's such a turn off or something
And also
like
an
that.
expectation that you're going to feel great during your meditation or directly after, and you may not. You may feel like, oh my God, I was so distracted. This was a bad meditation. But it really is just show up for even 5 minutes.
For just 5 minutes.
And if you just do it consistently, like any habit, even I keep bringing up food, which I'm very fond of, but if you are focusing on your health and doing it in a really just sort of this is good for me way rather than dieting, you'll lose weight very slowly. And with this, it's the same thing, where all of a sudden in a period of time, maybe a couple of weeks, you'll be looking back at your life and saying, wow, I'm not having a problem with that person the way that I was, and I didn't even do anything. Or, oh, this thing happened out of nowhere. And it's not like, oh, it's magic. Like, I connected with the magical, well, maybe some people think that, but it is kind of magic. But it really is that you got out of the way. You are out of the way of, blocking all the things that you keep wishing for in your life, and you're struggling for, and you're trying to make happen, and you're,
Right, you get in the way of the
building
universe,
all these obstacles
trying to help
for
you.
yourself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's so simple if we just stop.
All right, so a meditation technique then, someone knows if it's right for them, if it's something they actually look forward to doing.
Right.
That's what you'd say.
Right. And, as I said, it can be moving, you can walk, you can, we can do this as our little meditation, but moving while you're sitting even. It can really help you slow down and calm down. Because if you're in an agitated state, I work with the elderly, and one of the things is you go to where they are and stay there with them emotionally. So if someone's really agitated, you might put on music that's really upbeat, and then you bring things down kind of slowly, rather than going in and saying, let's just calm right down 100% when you're just feeling like,
It's too hard for anybody to.
yeah. It's just not
do something
reasonable.
like-
You have to be reasonable.
So I just want to talk about your booklet for a second. Anyways, you have on your website, and anybody can go to 5minutestoabetterworld.com, and for free, people can download your booklet, which is just wonderful. This is a beautiful.
My son
definitely
did the artwork.
It's
I love this.
it's lovely. It
Isn't it
really,
nice?
yeah, it really is. I don't know if we can see it here, but it's just so nice. And this booklet, you can, like I said, download it for free, and it's simple meditation techniques. And in it, you're talking about what you're talking about today. So it's like, yes, you can just do it the traditional way, but you can do a moving meditation and mantras, and while you're vacuuming and while you're, driving, and all the different ways. So it's just filled with just terrific ideas. So yeah, so really wonderful of you to put that.
What it does make me think about, I took the Artist's Way course about 20 years ago, and the one thing that Julia Cameron would have you go on an artist date by yourself once a week, and really the essence of it was to eventually realize that your whole life is an artist date, and let it sort of just leak out into the rest of your life. And it's really the same thing with meditation, because what you want to do is you want to bring that out into your life everywhere that you are. So ultimately that's, I suppose, a goal.
So it's like you can call on it anytime. It doesn't have to be every morning before you have your coffee. That's when you take your 5 minutes. Or just when you go for your walk, that's when you meditate. It's the kind of thing, all of a sudden you can just kind of call it in, like, oh, that was a rough day, or that was a rough meeting or something, and it's like, oh, let me just go to that quiet place and call in.
And if you've practiced, you can really recenter yourself in 1 minute.
You'll remember you have that.
Yeah, and I do have certain practices. For me, it's my happy dance, that I won't leave the house if I don't do my happy dance.
Well, tell people about that.
So,
you have that in your booklet.
And I mean, some people would look and say, that's completely ridiculous. That's not a meditation, but it is to me. So I started doing it by accident about, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, as a cool down from exercising. I was doing this Irish step dancing thing that I made up as an exercise, and then I started doing this cool down to some fiddle music. I can see my son laughing at me now, and I'd be there doing this very expansive, and this particular song, and for me it's the music. I have to listen to the music, and I need to move. Just listening to the song doesn't make me feel that way, but doing it's usually like a figure 8 infinity symbol, or whatever. That's just what
so gets me going,
to music. and just being very expansive in it. I always feel unbelievably uplifted by doing that, and especially depending on the music. And so I have a whole repertoire of music that I switch around and listen to, but I do that every single morning. I just practice being in that place where happy crying. I mean, who doesn't want to feel like that? So I do it on purpose every morning, and for me, music is the big vehicle for that.
That's what really helps you, is bringing
Instantly.
you into the mood. Yeah.
My brain is just trained to react, especially if I listen to a song for every day for a long time. I can just hear very little of it, and I immediately feel completely uplifted. And it's like on a cellular level, I've retrained myself, and it's just fun. I look forward to, I have 5 minutes, I gotta do my happy dance. So, and sometimes that is all I have, so.
All right, well, how about if we take some time now? Would you walk us all through a meditation? Does that sound like a...
Sure.
Yeah, that would be so terrific if you did. And everyone at home too, if you'd like to, feel free to go ahead and tape it during this, so it's always something that you can go back to. Okay, so what would you have us do?
So, well, here, let's ring our little bell.
All right.
It's nice. It makes things
now,
official.
Just calling
it's
everything
just a little
to?
Chime, a little chime. And yeah, so feet flat, feet on the floor, and unclasp your hands.
Okay, all right.
Because if they're not touching each other, it's sort of easier to forget about your physical body. So there you have it.
Okay, did not know that.
Please close your eyes. And let's take 3 deep breaths. Breathing very deeply. And one more. And now we were just talking about that infinity symbol and swaying. And I'd just like you to allow yourself to sort of sway back and forth in a figure 8 motion. It could be very tiny, or it could be more dramatic, depending how you're feeling. And this is really good to do if you've had a really busy day, an overwhelming day, a day where your mind is racing and your heart is pounding and you couldn't possibly sit still. Breathing really slowly. And if you don't physically want to move, you could imagine a point inside yourself and allow that figure 8 movement to follow that point inside yourself. Now breathing as slowly as you can. Maybe you could allow yourself to be at the beach. Imagine sitting on the warm sand, swaying back and forth, hearing the waves, feeling the waves crashing, the same as the movement that you're making back and forth. The waves come in, the waves go out, the thoughts come in, and the thoughts go out. Breathing very slowly. Maybe feeling a sense of peace and calm, slowing down. Feeling that rocking sensation of the ocean cradling you. Breathing very slowly. And now you can imagine someone that you love very dearly. Could be someone that's here, someone who's gone, a religious figure, could be anyone, someone that you love dearly. Imagine them sitting in front of you, holding your hands. You're both swaying gently back and forth, looking into their eyes, feeling the love that's there, feeling the peace in that moment between the two of you, knowing this person is there for you. And now taking 3 more deep breaths. Very slowly. And 1 more breath. Allow yourself to stop moving and settle into your chair. Feeling all the tension run down from the top of your head, out the bottom of your feet. Maybe feel a tingling in your hands and your feet. And know that that feeling of peace and relaxation and quiet, being present. You can bring that back with you right now. And find that at any time, just by closing your eyes and swaying back and forth, taking a deep breath. Now coming back to the room, wiggling your fingers and toes, opening your eyes when you're ready. And now we take a nappy.
I know.
Oh, I have to ring the bell.
Oh, nice. Oh, well, thank you. That was lovely.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that was nice. And that was just a few minutes.
What, like 3 minutes maybe?
Yeah, maybe 3 minutes. Just a boy, that really brought everything right down. You literally feel yourself go centered into yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to mention, I brought it with me and we decided it was too noisy, but a new thing that I have is called an ocean drum. You can look it up. They make them with, I have a plain one, but they make them also with a background of sort of, it looks like an aquarium with fish and a nice picture in the background. And it's basically a clear drum that's filled with essentially BBs, little steel, tiny steel balls, and you just barely move it and they move. And it makes an ocean sound that is amazing. And you just watch it. I'll sit and watch it for like 10 minutes.
It's like something you could do, like a tool to help you meditate.
It's just, I can't walk by it without picking it up. I bring it to work all the time. I'm working with the elderly. Everyone sits there and
just
we're
listens
at the ocean.
to it.
It's fabulous.
So it sounds just like a wave.
I love the waves.
Oh,
so.
that's nice.
Because that whole thing of people worrying, well, I'm having a thought, so I'm meditating wrong, or I'm having a bad meditation. And really that whole concept of the wave is coming in, and oh, look, it's going out. Oh, look, it's coming back. No, it's going back out. So.
Just to get that rhythm.
Yeah. Well, there's always another chance for another moment where you can feel peaceful for 1 second.
Yeah.
So just practice.
Pick up your drum.
Yeah.
Now, how has your life been changed by meditation, MJ?
Well, I mean, I'll never know what it would have been like if I hadn't been meditating, but I have to say, I think that I've been open to so many more things and relationships and trying things over the years that I probably never would have done. I'm actually a pretty nervous person. I can get very anxious about things, and practicing being other than that has really allowed me to end up where I am now, working as a recreation therapist. I get to do everything I want to all day long. And I never could have figured this out ahead of time. I could not have 30 years ago said, oh, that's what I should do. And it's just been this culmination, sort of like with the meditation, where I feel like my life at work, even though the pace of it is crazy, it's like being a cruise director and putting on a show all day long, every day. Yet it's sort of the culmination of meditation practices. And all day long, I get to constantly push the reset button. And I have to be present because that's kind of all we have. I work with a lot of people with really serious short-term memory issues. So it's always now. And are we having fun now? And is this a good moment now? And so I kind of set myself up, I feel like, inadvertently for having a life where my work is really my practice. And I could not have orchestrated that.
Of being present.
Right.
Of being present.
And being able to share that with other people in a way that's not annoying or preachy or anything. It's just
you live it.
Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how do you find moments to meditate in your life?
Well, as we talked about, it's changed rather drastically the last 2 years. Before that, I was doing reflexology and teaching meditation, and then I went back to work full time, and life really changed. So I get up in the morning, I do like 20 minutes of yoga, and I listen to some chanty music during that time. I sometimes will sit and do a meditation, depending on my mood and if my husband is up, or it just depends
how
on
the
the
morning's
day.
going.
I always do my happy dance for at least 10 or 15 minutes. And then throughout the day, as I mentioned to you before, I always leave the building at lunch. I always leave, even if I just go sit in my car and look out at the trees or whatever it is. I always leave so that I can reset, because I have to put out so much energy constantly for 40 people that are depending on me for having a good day, that I literally don't have time to be in a bad place. So I have to push my reset button.
You have to renew your energy.
However I can do it. Even if it's as small as I'm going to sit in my car and take 10 deep breaths. Or when I go home and I have to walk the dog and I have to make dinner, and when I'm walking the dog, I will do that. For 3 blocks, I'm going to chant. It's very much of a habit for me, so I will do that while I'm walking often. It just kicks in, and it's just a matter of years, and I've been doing that for probably 20 years.
Well, it sounds like something that's built, because it started right away, it worked for you, and you kept at it. And then it grew to doing it several times during the day, so it's your go-to thing.
Right.
You need to relax, and instead of staying uptight about not being relaxed, and you have such a variety of things to choose from, which you do suggest in your booklet. I mean, it's not just you have to go find that quiet place and It can be while you're doing an activity.
And it has to be while I'm and they know if I'm in a bad mood, or I can't be. I literally cannot be. And they know if I'm faking it. So I can't. I have to actually
be real.
Stop. I have to, So it's great. It's like enforced meditation all the time. I feel so lucky. It's not like with your family where you could be going around going, rah, rah, and I had the worst day, and I'm exhausted, and I just
and there's
have
no
to
hiding
set
in
it
your
all
cubby
aside.
at your job,
Right. No, I can't shut my door and say I'm having a bad day. I'll talk to you later.
So now, what's your goal in meditation?
My goal in meditation. I was supposed to think about this one. I was meditating upon it. My goal in meditation, I'm blushing now. I honestly, it's just such an ongoing process. I'd say my only goal is to not be in a place where I forget. As we were saying, that things are going so well that you stop, or things are going so badly that you can't bring yourself to get in that place that's neutral or above. So it's just ongoing. It's and to allow as much of it into my life as much as I can every day, and that's it. And then when you look at all the aspects of your life, that's how you know how much am I showing up essentially for myself, being present. How's work going? How's your relationship? How's your family? How are your finances? How's everything?
And it sounds like even for you, now you're someone, I mean, who's been doing it for 40 years, but it continues to grow. It's not like you arrive. It's just a thing
I don't know anything. I'm just doing what I do that works for me, and that's what is empowering for other people, is to just do what habit makes you feel good, or at least makes you feel neutral, whatever it is, and find that habit and do it. And when you get bored with it, do a different habit.
Do something different.
Yeah. And then if you go back to it, maybe. I do things like that all the time.
Yeah, keep variety.
So it's not like there's some end point. I mean, if there was an end point, I would have died in my sleep last night, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not done.
Okay, last question. What does spirituality mean to you?
it is that balance, pretty much what we were just saying, the balance of all those areas of your life. It's not something that's separate. It's not something that I do after work. It's everything that I carry with me all the time, as much as I can, and really finding your inner joy, however you can get to it, and finding what way you can share it with the most people. So I feel lucky I really get to do that in so many ways.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carla.
This was wonderful. Thank you for enlightening us on meditation and the different techniques that we can incorporate in our own lives, and appreciate too. Again, we'll have all of MJ's contact information up on the screen in just a moment, but you can go to her website at 5minutestoabetterworld.com and download this wonderful booklet. And if you didn't have a chance to tape that meditation that she did with us, you'll also be able to go to my website at carlaaugustyn.com, and I'll have a link that brings you directly to it. So you can start your practice with this way in just a few minutes a day.
I did want to say,
Yeah,
I always tell people with the booklet, if you do print it out, and I'm sorry, it won't print out quite as nice
Pretty
looking
as
as
that.
this, but print it out and put it in the bathroom,
Okay.
where all good reading happens,
All right.
and then your family members might see it, and you don't have to say anything like, you should meditate, you should read this.
Encourage a family
and
thing.
it reminds you go in there. I mean, I don't normally say, yes, you can meditate on the toilet, but obviously.
Why not?
Wherever you are.
It's a private place. Okay. All right. So I want to thank you for watching. This has been Spiritual Invitation. I'm your host, Carla Augustyn, inviting you to explore spirituality.